I misjudged the quiet between us. I thought it was the end, but it was really the space love hides to breathe. I thought you were distant because you didn't care, but now I know you were protecting me from your chaos. I once believed you were heartless, yet your silence carried more love than anyone's words ever could. I thought you walked away easily, but I see now you were bleeding inside, pretending it didn't hurt. I misjudged your withdrawal as disinterest. It was actually the ache of someone who loved too deeply. I thought you were ignoring me, but you were fighting emotions you couldn't control. I believed your calm was indifference, but it was the strength of someone holding back a storm. I thought you didn't feel my absence, but you felt it in every quiet night, just like I did. I misread your silence as coldness. Now I realize it was grief wrapped in composure. I thought you didn't care to understand me, but now I know you understood me more than I ever understood myself. I thought you left to forget me, but you left because loving me started to hurt too much. I misjudged your absence as rejection. It was actually your way of saying, I love you, but I can't stay. I thought your goodbye meant indifference, but your eyes told a story your lips couldn't speak. I once thought you didn't care about me at all. Now I know you cared enough to let me go. I misjudged your kindness as weakness, not knowing it took immense courage to stay gentle in a cruel world. I thought you were playing games, but now I see you were just trying not to lose yourself in love again. I believed your distance meant you were over me, but it was your way of healing from me. I thought you were pretending not to feel, but you were just tired of feeling everything too deeply. I misread your quiet eyes. They weren't cold. They were screaming all the words your mouth refused to say. I thought you didn't care if I stayed or left, but you were silently begging me to stay while pretending you didn't need me. I misjudged your composure. It wasn't strength, it was survival. I thought you had moved on. Now I know you just learned how to carry the pain gracefully. I once believed you didn't love me enough. Now I see you loved me in a way I wasn't ready to understand. I misjudged your silence as arrogance. It was actually your refusal to fight a battle you'd already lost. I thought you didn't care about closure, but you were finding peace in the pieces we left behind. I believed you'd forgotten me. I never realized how hard you worked to pretend that you had. I thought you were emotionless, but you were drowning in feelings, trying to keep your head above water. I misjudged your silence for peace, but it was your soul trying to heal in private. I thought your goodbye was easy. Now I see it tore you apart quietly. I misjudged your love. It was never loud, but it was loyal. I thought you didn't want me anymore, but you were afraid I'd leave before you could explain yourself. I misjudged your eyes. They weren't distant. They were filled with memories you couldn't erase. I thought you stopped caring. Now I understand you cared too much to keep pretending everything was fine. I misjudged your detachment as apathy. It was really heartbreak in disguise. I thought your silence meant indifference, but it was the sound of your heart breaking quietly in the background. I once thought you were selfish for leaving. Now I see you were brave for choosing peace over chaos. I misjudged your loyalty. It was invisible but unshakable, even when love turned painful. I thought your quiet meant you didn't feel, but it was your way of surviving love's noise. I misjudged your strength. You didn't move on fast. You just learned to live slowly without me. I thought you were cold-hearted, but you were the warmest soul, just hidden beneath years of disappointment. I once thought you were running away from me. Now I know you were running toward healing. I misjudged your calm. It was the silence after too many storms. I thought you didn't need me, but you just didn't want to need anyone again. I believed your goodbye was permanent, but your energy still lingers every time I close my eyes. I misjudged your heart. I saw walls, but they were really ruins of old battles. I thought you were hiding secrets, but you were hiding pain. I misjudged your laughter. It wasn't joy, it was survival. I thought you wanted to forget me, but you were only trying to forgive me. I misjudged your distance. It wasn't coldness, it was heartbreak dressed as control. I thought your goodbye was strength. It was actually surrender. I misjudged your silence. It wasn't emptiness, it was mourning. I thought you stopped feeling, but you just learned how to live without expressing it. I misjudged your tears. You didn't cry because you were weak. You cried because you finally cared. I misjudged you, not because you changed, but because I only looked at you through the lens of my own pain. I thought you were cold, but now I see it was the world that froze you before I ever arrived. I accused your silence of cruelty, when it was actually your way of protecting a heart that had already been shattered. I misread your distance as disinterest, not realizing it was the only way you knew how to stay safe from love. I saw your walls and thought you were hiding secrets, but you were only guarding scun too deep for words. I once believed you didn't care. Now I understand. You cared so much that it terrified you. I thought you walked away without emotion, but now I realize every step cost you more than I could ever imagine. I misjudged your strength as pride. I see now it was survival, not ego. I took your calmness for indifference, not realizing it was the only way you could stop yourself from breaking. I misunderstood your silence. It wasn't absence, it was the sound of someone screaming quietly inside. I once thought you were heartless, but you were just exhausted from giving your heart to people who didn't deserve it. I thought you didn't need me, but now I know. You just refuse to need anyone ever again. I painted you as emotionless, but it was my inability to read your pain that blinded me. I misjudged your detachment. It wasn't lack of love, it was fear of repeating an old wound. I thought you didn't understand love, but now I see you understood it too deeply, too painfully. I thought you were mysterious for the wrong reasons. Now I know you were protecting the parts of yourself that never healed. I once saw your silence as rejection. Now I understand it was the language of someone trying to keep from breaking down. I thought you were hard to read, but maybe it was me who refused to see clearly. I judged you for not expressing yourself, but now I know some emotions are too sacred to name. I used to believe you didn't value me, but it was you who saw my worth long before I did. I misjudged your peace for apathy, but now I see it was the kind of peace that comes after surviving chaos. I thought you didn't care about consequences, but you carried every one of them in silence. I misjudged your patience. It wasn't weakness, it was strength disguised as restraint. I thought you were playing games, but you were just trying to protect a heart that had been misused too many times. I saw your distance as rejection, but it was your way of keeping me safe from your chaos. I thought you were too calm. Now I see you had already accepted what I was still fighting to change. I misjudged your stillness. It wasn't emptiness, it was quiet healing. I thought you didn't want me near, but now I understand. You didn't want me to see your pain. I believed your laughter was carefree. I never realized it was your armor. I misread your silence as goodbye, not knowing it was actually your way of saying, I still care. I thought I knew your heart. Turns out, I only knew the version you allowed me to touch. I thought you didn't believe in love, but it was love that hurt you the most. I saw your boundaries as rejection, but now I understand. They were your way of surviving. I once thought you were running from love, but now I see you were running from heartbreak that looked too familiar. I misjudged your strength. It wasn't about not feeling. It was about feeling everything and still standing. I thought you forgot me easily, but now I know you carried me in silence. I saw your confidence and called it arrogance. Now I realize It was the only shield you had left. I thought you didn't want to talk. Now I see you just didn't have the strength to explain. I judged your silence when I should have listened to it. I misread your calm for coldness. You were just tired of chaos, pretending to be love. I thought your heart was closed, but it was just bruised too deeply to open again. I used to think you didn't care about losing me. Now I see. You were already grieving before I noticed the distance. I misjudged your detachment as disinterest, but it was quiet surrender. I thought you were hiding something dark, but all you were hiding was your pain. I used to think you were emotionless. Now I see you just feel too much to show it. I misread your quiet strength for stubbornness, when in truth, it was dignity. I thought you didn't value me, but now I see you valued me enough not to break me with your truth. I misjudged your love. It wasn't loud, but it was real. I thought you left me easily, but now I know. You left yourself too in the process. I used to think you were heartless, but you were just careful with what was left of your heart. I misjudged your absence as carelessness, but it was your way of healing quietly. I thought you didn't miss me. Now I understand missing me was your secret burden.